That's nothing to do with Star Wars. I don't even know how, I used to be in a band and somehow I do music. Anyway, my name's Elston. Welcome to a Warhammer Star Wars video. No, I'm just saying the word Warhammer because of the simple fact I've got to get it in the algorithm. Anyway, we're going to have a look at Star Wars Legion today and how I painted up my entire collection. Now, if you're new to the channel, you may have seen one of my previous videos where I outlined my intention to finish all projects, aka FAP. Go check it out up there, it's rather silly. My intention was to finish my entire collection, and this started with me assembling every model kit I owned. Again, link up there for another one. This next part might make you twitch a little bit because I'm not the best person when it comes to storing my models in a safe, comfortable environment. And what happened is, after priming all the models, I put them all back into storage. So, all of you people that have a little bit of a about how models are stored, you might want to look away now. Then my intention was to move on to prime all the models, which is the current position I'm in. However, one thing, if you haven't guessed already, priming all of your collection takes a really long time. So as an attempt to get a small win, I thought whilst I'm priming everything, I will try to paint up an entire game system. This not only gives me the same satisfaction as finishing off stuff, and also having an excuse to make content, but also knocks down the amount I have to prime/paint later. So we're attacking it on multiple angles. Really doesn't help that I recently assembled all my heresy stuff, so I might have added back to the pile. Anyway, Josh from the Pickle Jar is a friend of mine, and we talk regularly. Now, when I say talk regularly with Pickle, I mean talk regularly. I don't mean bully him because he hasn't painted all of his Star Wars yet, even though he said he was going to 9 months ago. However, I don't bully him for that at all. But he hasn't painted all of his Star Wars, and I have. Well, Josh was on his way to completing his Star Wars Legion droid army. Firstly, I'm very proud of Josh for doing this, as it's a mental amount of models, but also he now knows what it's like to complete a large army. However, I will not be outdone by said Pickle. And this spurred me on to look at my current collection and decide what to paint that could rival his massive droid army. At which point I decided maybe finishing my entire Star Wars Legion collection would be a good rival, hence where we find ourselves now. So now I have to paint all of my Star Wars Legions models. Let's get to it.
No. What do you mean, no?
Now, if you don't know what Star Wars Legion is and you're a Warhammer fan, Star Wars Legion is the Warhammer equivalent of Star Wars. I know I said Star Wars and Warhammer one too many times in that sentence, but I've got to get the algorithm going somehow. So to clarify a few things, all of these models have been assembled already, and this is an amalgamation of starter kits, so one-off purchases, characters of the 501st Starter Army, which I'm told is a weird box that you get more troopers than you will ever need. However, I'm a hobby hoarder, and I've only played one test intro game of Legion, and I already have amassed this. See why Operation FAP is required?
Yes.
I get the majority of my models from Firestorm Games, and lo and behold, I have an affiliate link with them. So if you fancy supporting me by buying minis for yourself, hit the link below. Anyway, we got started by priming all the models in black. I usually prefer Steinway's primer, as once secured, it's one of the toughest primers I have ever used. Then all the models were giving us a little highlight using white ink, and here's where our first cheat comes in. Yes people, there are tutorials in this video, so pay attention, okay? So you know all those clone troopers? Well, they have white armor, so why don't we use this as an opportunity to lay some base colors and highlights down in one hit. Doing multiple layers with the white ink and increasing the opacity towards the top basically creates our shades and highlights in one step, and the intention is to paint the black in afterwards. This is the lesser of two evils to me when dealing with a color scheme that's mainly black and white. If you disagree with me, put in the comments below and I will allow anyone that has gone through this pain before to correct you.
No.
Now let's tackle the real grind of this project, and that's our clone boys. So first we need to add some black to these guys to help out the definition again. Back to what should be sponsoring this video, our friend Black Templar. Done with a small brush, there's no easy way to put this. This is just a fucking grind.
This isn't working for me.
Now it's only a grind because I have an excessive amount of minis for a skirmish game, so if you've been a bit more sensible, then I would imagine this will go a lot quicker. Also, ARC Troopers have even more little bits of detail, so they took even longer. However, with power of editing, I can make a 3-day painting binge turn into a mere seconds in time. Everyone bow down to my time management skills. Also, on the note of ARC Troopers being a bit of a pain, I didn't realise they all have their own customised markings, which is frustrating beyond belief as batch painting goes a bit haywire when you're trying to paint a lot, but they're all different. The saving grace of this was they all use the same colour, so you just got to vary where each colour goes, and there you kinda go. Kinda. With some Adidas stripes added to the clones, we are pretty much done with these. We don't want to put too much detail into these guys, because we got fuck tons of them. The B1 droids are how we're given a prime and then a zenithal highlight. After that, we added a coat of Citadel Agaros Dunes, I think that's how we're pronouncing it these days, then a dry brush of White Sands, the guns were simply Black Templar, and that's a wrap on the B1s. Lots of tutorials, one small video. Now for a wonderful part of painting the Jedis. This was done by highlighting up different skin tones in different areas. There's no real easy way to do this. There's a lot of painters out there that can paint faces and teach you how to paint faces. Basically, I just used scale color sets starting with something like Bugman's Glow, putting a purple wash over it like Druchii Violet, then putting Bugman's Glow back on, then doing a highlight with another skin tone, something like a golden skin tone, then going up to a light skin tone, mixing in the whole time, and using super zoomy specs to get the details in. I'm also not going to teach you how to paint eyes, because they're a shit. Just simple as, they're just a shit. Droidicas were done by using contrast paint Gore Grunter over the back plates and then adding contrast Black Templar over some of the details again, and some quick red lights, and we have some nice easy quick droids done.
So what do you think?
Now, for the wonderful moment and the most dreadful moment in this entire experience, Tanky Tank. The clones have a tank called a Saber. A Saber tank? A Saber Strike tank? I don't know. I'm getting mixed up with Warhammer here. The Saber tank is a cool kit, and I decided to start off by painting in the blue elements. All the whites were done with the zenithal highlights, much like the clones, so I'm not really going to show you that bit. But all the bits were done. We added all the blue elements. And then we added some Black Templar. Then, I need to make this a little bit more detailed. So I thought, you know what? Let's do an oil wash. Now, you know those videos where people go, you don't need a varnish. It's not required. You definitely don't need it. It's not an issue. You can just do it. I've never had a problem. Well, they can all fuck off, because I used to think like that. And then this happened. I let the wash dry for a couple of days. I then came back, and it came off the blue fine. Did not want to come off the white. At all. Try with my little spongy thing, that didn't work. Try with some tissue paper, that kind of started working, but I thought this is going to take ages, and I'm not going to get into the details. So you know what? This is where shit went wrong. I thought, I'll use the power of my monkey brain to facilitate the expedience of this task. Therefore, I will use a motorized tool. Bring in the Dremel. Now this Dremel is attached with a polishing device, and I thought I'll be able to get it off. It won't do any damage. How wrong I was. Oh look, oh yeah, look, there it goes, there it goes. Wash gone, paint gone, plastic being churned away. Yeah, I fucked up. I kind of salvaged it by putting oil wash over it. But don't, whatever you do, use a Dremel to get off oil wash. However, what I did learn from it is the little brush thing, if you take that off the Dremel, it's a pretty good scrubbing tool. So I used that to clean up the rest of the Saber Tank. Now the Saber Tank is a bit more weathered than I would like compared to the rest of the army. The rest of the army is kind of clean and kind of nice. The Saber Tank, not so much. It's something I'm going to have to live with. Either I've got to go dirty up all the clones, or I've got to repaint the tank. Either way, I'm not doing that in this video. So, there we go. After Tanky Tank, I mooched on to all the different elements in the army. If anything, I can give you advice. I'm not going to give you tips on absolutely everything, but I would say zenithal highlights, contrast paints, and then add a little bit of detail in just to break up the contrast paints, because just contrast paints looks a little bit like a crayon or a felt tip pen's been used. The bases were all done with AK Interactive's Muddy Ground. Now, here's a bit where I have to introduce you to some friends. Say hello to the people from the MS Paints Discord server. This was a hangout, and they helped me get through it, and then some of them were also doing clones as well, so that was nice to have someone to sympathize and cry with. Oh dear God, white. Anyway, obviously stuff like this takes a fair old while. It's not a quick task, and I've condensed something like 3 to 4 weeks worth of work here into about 20-minute video. This takes a while, and there is a grind involved. Now, there's nothing better to help you out with that than talking to some friends. After the Muddy Ground was dried, we used a yellowy light brown, white, off-white mix. I didn't really have an exact recipe for it. I just kind of made this colour, and I dry brushed that over the base, being a little bit select where I could to try and keep the models' feet from being turned a yellowy brown colour, because no one likes to be yellowy brown. Now, I also had another tank to do for the droids as well, and this was the droid tank. I don't know what it's called. I just did a zenithal highlight on this and then used Agarose dunes through the airbrush, which made it very orange. That's not what I wanted. So I then had to highlight up again with a different colour, and then I had to wash back down again. So, if anything you lesson learned from this one, go very light with the Agarose dunes, or just dilute it. It's way easier. I used AK Interactive's Rust to just fill in the gaps and sort of highlight the bolts, and then all of these were cleaned off. And that gave us our tanks. Now for the one trick which I hope you're all here for. How to make lightsabers look like lightsabers. In a previous video, I painted up a Yoda model. Again, link up there. I'm sure you're bored of it now, but again, link up there. And I decided to basically paint Yoda's lightsaber with a glowing tip. One, because I thought it looked cool, and secondly, because I like using the phrase just the tip. You know, sexual puns and all that shit. But found a better way. So lightsabers, they're initially a problem for painting because they are a glowing stick of white light with a colour around it. That's really hard to do on a 3D model. However, this trick works pretty well. Basically, wherever a focal line or focal direction from the lightsaber is or the model, so say for example a front on angle, is draw a white line along the length of the lightsaber. A solid white line. But don't paint the entire half of the lightsaber. We're talking one white line down the center. But you're not painting half of the lightsaber. You want to keep the blue or the green or the red either side of it. If you do that, you give off the illusion of the glow effect. Now, you'll be saying, but what happens when I turn them all around? And you will be right. However, what you can do is paint the other side. And then when you see it, you'll see, effectively from any different angle, the lightsaber glowing. It's kind of a cool little trick. I kind of like it. I'm going to carry on doing it. So, if you like it, let me know in the comments below. So this is the end part of the video, the grand reveal, if that's what you do, the showcase bit there, you know, showing off my models, and it's time for me to reflect a little bit. Am I glad I've painted all my Star Wars Legion? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Was it a ball ache? Yes, it was. Am I questioning my life choices? Oh, certainly so. But it's done. And what do you guys think? Is it worth it? Is it worth painting up your entire... Is it worth it? Do you think it's worth painting up all of the models from a certain range, and then so that it's ready to go whenever you need it, and that game is easily accessible at any point in time? Or do you like having models sitting around so that it gives you more inspiration to paint and go back to the hobby? I don't have the answer to it. Maybe you do. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. I'm actually really intrigued. I think I'm going insane, but it'd be nice to know if other people are going insane with me. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Elston. This is Star Wars Legion. I'm done. I'm going to move on to something else. Happy May the 4th, Jedi time, whatever there is. Love each other, be good, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.